Hello, ActiveSage here on the Sage channel, and as you probably know, there was an update that came out today that added wonderful mod support. Yes, that's right. You can now easily add mods to Space Engineers without having to do any file clicking, dragging, any of that. Simply go to open your Steam page, go to the Browse the Workshop files, and right over here on the right, you'll see a type. Now you can select between world, which is, as we've usually had, worlds, or mod. So if I was to go ahead and click mod and give it a second, this page should refresh, and I believe it just has. Yes, indeed, you can see type right there, mod, and now it's only showing mods for the game, and you can see there are quite a few mods here, including my mods are actually here too. And to simply install one of these mods, go ahead, click on the mod you want, and then click the subscribe button right there. That's pretty much it. Now all you got to do is go ahead and launch the game up. So once you get in game, you'll probably want to go ahead and start a new world with those mods, or you could actually add them to the old ones. So add them to a new world when you're first starting up. You'll see that there are the two buttons here and a mods button right there. You click that and it'll show up with a screen like this. Any mods on the left here that have that little Steam logo next to them, that means those are mods you've subscribed to. Any of them here with just a folder, those are mods on your hard drive. Do not use those if you plan on going online with that map. So if, let's say, I want this Skyboxes one installed and I go ahead and double click it, I've installed that, but when I go online, people will not be able to see that Skybox, and it can cause some serious issues, including crashes, because their game will see something different. It can end up in trouble. Skyboxes might be alright, but just be warned, other mods can cause serious problems. So you probably don't want to use that. By the way, I double click to remove that, but any of the ones with the Steam logo, you can use those in multiplayer servers without any issue at all. So let's say I want to have just the Sage skins on, so I've got that, click OK, and to go ahead and load up this world, and there we go, we're in this world. And for my skins, you simply would go over here and have a pull down of all the different skins you could select and alter color was on, and this is indeed a custom skin. As you can see very vaguely there, it does have a pattern on it, and that will apply for any mod. So if, let's go, say I want to add mods to an older world, while I was at the load world selection, I'd go ahead and select a world that I want to add mods to. So let's go with this direct control update one. Let's do edit settings, and then again we have the mods button just like before. We'd click that and then you could add the mods you want to add. So I'll just double click through all these. Now there are buttons down here and straight up and down the middle. They're pretty simple and straightforward. If you have multiple Skybox mods or multiple mods that maybe overwrite a bog standard object, the mod at the top of this list on the right is the one that's actually going to be loaded. If they both do the same thing basically but with a different model, it'll be the one on top. If you have two Skybox mods, the one on top will be the one that actually gets used. So that's what these arrows here are, to change the order of these things so you don't have to necessarily uninstall them. And then of course these buttons down here are the install and deinstall everything mods pretty much. Oh, and of course the single mod install and uninstall ones. Pretty simple and straightforward. But let's go ahead and install all of this. Armored thrusters isn't actually mine, so I'm going to go ahead and remove that one. Pretty cool thing though. If you look that up on Steam Workshop, install all mine. Here we go. There we go. Load this world up, and even though it's an older world, now if I load it and I press G and scroll down, you can see all of my mods have indeed loaded in, and you no longer have to worry about any issues at all. It's pretty dang cool. So there you go, that's this update's basics of mods. There's a few other little things I'll quickly go over, and actually I'm going to go ahead and toss myself a gravity generator down right here, that way I can actually walk around, and let's disable that. And another thing they added today was a small control panel, so let's go ahead and give ourselves a wall to work with here. And the small control panel they added was this thing right there. This is not modded in, this is actually something that's in the game normally, and this is a pretty simple and straightforward little control panel. That way you could go ahead and press K on this and access the controls or whatever you might need. It's pretty dang awesome. I suspect in the future they'll be able to directly hook one of these up, so you'd press K on it and you get a screen like this, but instead of it just being the connector, the first random thing here, it would actually link you to the specific control panel, and you'd be able to link that one to a specific command. Just like when you're in a chair in the previous update, I suspect you'll be able to have these buttons set up to specific things in the future somewhat soon. But for right now, they're basically just press K on them, access your control panels and inventory on your ship and all that. And they do indeed work. If I was to go ahead and demonstrate very quickly here, they do indeed work on small ships as well. So if you have a pretty advanced small ship, you can have controls on it as well. Very, very, very cool. Right. Another thing they did add that I do not believe they covered in their videos are these catwalks here. Originally we have had this catwalk in game for a long time, and it looked basically like this one here, the basic steel catwalk. Well, now they've gone ahead and changed it. I'm going to do Shift 2, by the way, so I can get to a new set. And we're going to do. And so now they've made it so it'll be easier to actually have a nice walkway, a proper catwalk, mind you, to go over spaces. So that might be a bit odd. In the past, of course, it would have looked like this. Still pretty odd, you need a wall on the other side, but now, thanks to the way they've set it up, you can go ahead and have something like this, which looks very, very nice, and they have their nice little corner pieces as well, so if you would like to have your own zigzagging cornerways, or whatever you would like, you can now do so, which is pretty dang awesome, and I'm really actually quite happy they added this. It is, well, it's just pretty much great. One last thing that I just about forgot to say was that they've added a little something new when it comes to gyroscopes. You can now actually see this button here, override controls. That means that you will no longer have direct control over this from your cockpit, that you can set it up here and give it certain orders to do on what to do. So you see it was rotating the one way a second ago, now I've stopped it and it's, well, I told it to rotate the other way and it stopped. But of course what I can do is very similar to small thrusters. I can activate this thruster and get it going forward a little bit, and then I can tell that gyroscope to have itself a lot of fun. And actually it's not doing it because I think it works a bit better if I actually get it going more than just a little bit. So let's get this thing going. And now, if I follow it out here, you can see it starts to turn, and that's not just because the thruster is offset, that is actually because that gyroscope is telling it to do some very, very silly things. Now, that might not exactly be too ideal in itself, but what the devs have said is that you could very easily set this up if you had thrusters along all the sides to allow it to basically have an orbit around something, which would be pretty dang cool. Anyway, that's it. I don't think I've forgotten anything else. That should actually be it for this update. It's pretty dang awesome. I'm really happy about mod support. If you would like to go ahead and look at a video of any of my mods, there should be some annotations up on screen at this very moment, so if you'd like to click those and check those out, feel free to. Otherwise, well, there's a bunch of new stuff in the game anyway, and a bunch of other mods out there that I highly suggest you take a look at. Anyway, thanks so much for watching, guys, and I'll see you next time. Oh yeah, and they added the few little animations to the character that can, you know, use pretty straightforward. Just drag them down there. Even if you spam, you will end up with some silliness.